Welcome back to Villa Famiglia, everybody. It is Eric with Sprucehill Homes. We have a ton of stuff to come to show you on this project. The team has been hard at work getting the garage done over here, which you can see behind me now. Yesterday, we got concrete poured into the footings for the deck at the rear here and the stairs that are going to be going down to the back patio behind me. Let's stop talking about what's going on the outside and whatever else, and let's just dive in and have a deep look at what the heck is going on at Villa Famiglia. So we got lucky today. Stefangelo, our fearless project manager on this project, is in the middle of laying out the kitchen cabinets. So give us a brief rundown of what you're doing and what you're thinking about.
Sure. So basically our cabinet trade partner, Pacram, has produced their shop drawings for the kitchen. And as a precautionary measure, we take the shop drawings before the cabinets go into production and we lay it out in the freshly framed areas to make sure that everything is going to line up correctly.
Yep.
And flag any potential concerns that may arise with between like her site measurements and what I've actually found. And that way we can snip it in the butt before our very expensive cabinets get made. So as of right now, there was a couple things that we noticed up in this corner, which is not a big deal. They were calling for a 6 3/8 filler. But we're only going to have room for 5.5 inch because we changed the drywall on this side from 1/2 inch to 1/4.
Yeah.
Everything else actually lined up pretty perfect. In fact, I was just getting Frank, our project coordinator, to kind of go over everything with like a more decisive marker and write out all the measurements as we were confident with this section. This section as well, we were very confident in. I had to double check the center of the kitchen. There's been a few adjustments and our center mark has kind of been adjusted by 1 inch, give or take, in either direction. So this was something that we definitely wanted to double check and make sure it's bang on, because the center of this kitchen is going to be this beautiful range top that is going to essentially be the centerpiece. So we wanted to make sure that it's bang on. And then as we come into this area, everything was looking pretty skookum. The sink is lined up more or less perfectly. We're just running into a bit of a contingency in this corner where a beverage fridge is going. There's about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch discrepancy between the drawings and what I'm finding on site.
And reality.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that is really important with the cabinet layout is coming in and actually drawing the cabinet boxes themselves on the floor. And the reason being, so, if you're a contractor laying out a kitchen or if you're a homeowner thinking about doing it, right, what you want to be thinking about is where the cabinet boxes are going to go and why that's important. If the middle of your cabinet happens to fall exactly on top of this pipe, you've got a problem. And so it's easy enough for the plumber at this moment in time to move this pipe 1 inch that way or 1 inch that way. But once we're drywalled downstairs and we got flooring and everything else going on here, it's an absolute nightmare to make that change. So if we come through, and yes, it takes some time. What do you figure it's going to take? Like
several hours, easily. I mean, we've been here for about 1.5 hours already. We just finished the kitchen.
And so, by the end of the day, the plan will be to have Jiffy markered cabinets on the floor so you can see exactly where all the cabinet boxes go and the island and where the island boxes go. And by doing that, you can really do a much better job of projecting and predicting where you're going to have issues. Because the same thing can happen here, right? If there's, for some stupid reason, this is totally in the wrong place. If we have where the cabinet box edge is drawn on the floor, everything just jumps out and becomes visually easy. So lay out your cabinet in scrutinizing detail on the floor. All right, so we're in the pantry here. And again, I always like to point it out as frequent as possible. The importance of using red pipe for hot water, blue pipe for cold water, and then white pipe for recirculation. So we've got no recirculation happening immediately here. It's happening in actually there's a recirculation pipe right there. But it is so important to have those in red, white, and blue, because that way you don't screw something up. Now, I noticed, and if you were a keen observer in the kitchen, there's a red pipe that's been put in for the pot filler. Well, pot filler needs to be in blue pipe. So the plumbers are going to be ripping that pipe out and we are going to be making that blue pipe. So one of the things we talked about in our walkthrough yesterday, and again, this is another pro tip, is we want to make sure our plumbing pipes are set back at least 3/4 inch in from the face of the stud. And the reason being is most drywall screws are 1.25 inches long. Most drywall is 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch less 1.25 inches, or sorry, 1.25 inches less 1/2 inch rather, is 3/4 inch. I can tell you that this PEX pipe receives drywall screws magically. Like, it works like a hot damn. And you know, I was asked yesterday, well, won't you see water leaking out if a drywall screw goes in there, or like won't you see pressure drop off at the pressure gauge? Actually, no. You can drive a screw into this thing under pressure, and as long as it goes in pretty fast, which the coarse drywall screws do, it kind of plugs it, and you won't know that you've got a leak for about a year and a half, because you've got to wait for that drywall screw to rust out, and then you find out you've got a leak. Keep your plumbing pipes, which this is not here, this needs to get fixed. Keep your plumbing pipes 3/4 inch behind your stud face, and you will have a successful project. So again, you know, I think it's so important to pay attention to how clean we keep the job site. Honestly, the only trade that really causes us a lot of grief when it comes to keeping the job site clean is the electricians. As we all know, they are allergic to brooms. I don't know why. But this site is looking really good. Now, I am telling you, you need to stay tuned. You need to come back and you need to watch this video for the next 2 weeks, because the transformation that is going to be happening at this house over the next 2 weeks, and surely over the next month, is going to be mind-blowing. So definitely stay tuned, because this project is going to go into instantaneous acceleration over the next 2 to 4 weeks. So really exciting to share that with you. We're in one of the basement bathrooms right now. And so what's interesting about these bathrooms is that they're backed onto each other and they're separate units, right? That's a basement suite over here. This is the main dwelling unit over here. So between each dwelling unit, we need to have fire separation. So it turns out that we're gonna have extra fire separation on this particular project. We're gonna have 3 layers of drywall on this side, and we'll have 3 on the other. We only needed 2, but just the way that the framing worked out, we're gonna get 3. Now, what I wanted to talk about is tub installation. So there's 2 things that we wanna think about. Number 1 is that our tub gets installed perfectly level. And when I say perfectly level, I mean perfectly level. If you have an old level, take your level, put it on the edge, see where it's reading with the bubble in the middle, because that's where your level should be, but then turn it 180 degrees. If the bubble stays in the same place, your level is reading true. If your bubble moves, take your level and bend it over your knee and throw it in the garbage, because it's not worth a goddamn. Or if you really want to keep it and use it as a straight edge, take a nail and a hammer and drive it through the bubble in your level. Throw that thing out, it can't be trusted. Now, again, getting back to the tub though, right? We need to be perfectly level this way, and ideally perfectly level this way, or maybe slightly sloping back towards the wall. Why? Because there is nothing more irritating than having a shower in a tub and then having the water dribble over the edge because the tub is sloped out towards the inside of the room. Just mind-bogglingly irritating when that happens. Don't do that. So the other thing that we also want to pay attention to is all tubs, all shower bases come with a flange. We want to make sure that we see at least 1 screw into each stud. And these screws need to be either decking screws or stainless steel screws, right? These things need to be okay to be wet. They need to be happy wet. So these are decking screws, should be good to go. The other thing is you never want to see this flange. If you have your tile and it's landing on top of this flange, whoever installed your tub and did your tile work did it wrong. This flange needs to be hidden and the tile needs to come over top of this flange. You should never see this flange unless there are some tubs that have like kind of like a weird edge and then odd details so that you do have a little bit of fiberglass there, but those are few and far between. Generally speaking, we don't want to see any flange. So there's a saying that I hear frequently on job sites that literally makes my blood boil and makes me want to reach out and touch somebody. And that is, I've been doing it that way for 20 years. Well, you might have been doing it that way for 20 years, but that doesn't mean you've been doing it right for 20 years. And so one thing I actually learned this week, in fact, is that if there's any play in a gas pipe over time, as the gas is turned on and off, this can rub and actually cause premature wear in the pipe. So realistically, your gas pipe needs to be protected as it passes through any type of stud to prevent it from needlessly wearing out early. The other option is to make sure that it is firmly secured so it can't move at all. The other issue that can also come up, which I didn't realize, I honestly didn't, is that gas pipe can ping and knock, similar to ABS drain pipe in walls or vent pipe for your boiler or furnace. I didn't know that could cause that, so I learned something new about that as well. But nonetheless, make sure that your gas pipes are secured passing through studs. Best practice is to put a plastic clip around the pipe as it passes through the stud, and that will protect your pipe from premature destruction. Well, I'm sure the lighting for this particular part of this is gonna be total shite, but whatever, the sun is blasting in my face and you're gonna get to see me however I look. But you know what's exciting is we now have the garage walls framed up. We've got the trusses all laid out. The boys are working on getting those all finalized, braced back, and then what will happen is they will get the subfascia on the outside so that everything is nice and straight. Then they'll put their barge board on the front, which is the angly stuff, and then they'll run their fascia in between that, and life will be great. Now, let's talk about trusses and how they get installed. Come on, Kyle. So the first question that should come to your mind is, well, these look pretty spindly, and like what's preventing these things from, you know, teetering back and forth like this? What's preventing that right now is we've got a 2x6 going along the bottom cord. Now the bottom cord is this bottom piece, bottom 2x4 of the truss above me, right? Then the 2x6 is not the whiteboard, that's pressure treated, or not pressure treated, that's comb face fascia, but the 2x6 above is nailed into the bottom cord of the trusses. And then we have a row of blocking between the webbing of the truss. And the webbing is the V's that you see on the inside of the truss. So your bottom cord is the bottom, your top cord is the top, and then the V's is called webbing. And so by having those pieces of blocking up there, right, it's preventing the roof from racking back and forth. Now, what's really gonna lock everything in, of course, is plywood. And that is what'll go on probably by the end of the week. I would say by this time next week when we're here, this garage will be 100% framed, ready to go, and we'll be well into getting the deck started. So stay tuned. I'm telling you, there's a lot of cool stuff happening at this project. So we are now in the back of the house here, and we have got the footings poured as promised. These are some fancy schmancy column connectors that we had to order, as I mentioned in a previous video. So those suckers are in. And again, by the end of next week, maybe for recording next week, we'll see. But certainly by the end of next week, this is all gonna go. Let's go and have a look at what the columns, like there's gonna be 6x6 going inside of here. So nothing, like just for 6x6, nothing super fancy about that. But let's go have a look at the columns that are gonna go on top of it. Those are cool. Okay, so we're not gonna get a full view of the columns that are going in because they're all boxed up in their shipping wrap and we don't wanna unbox them until it's time to install them. But you can see they're pretty thick and they've got this cool sort of ribbing to it at the top, and then the base kind of flares out and it's got the same sort of idea going at the bottom a couple times. It's gonna look really cool. Stefangelo says it's been a pain in the butt to deal with. It's still gonna look really cool. I can't wait to show you. Well, that's a wrap on today's walkthrough, everybody. If you have a renovation or second story addition like this that you have been dreaming about doing, we would love to be your partners in success. You can reach us on our phone or catch us on our website. We'd love to work with you and hear from you and learn how we can be your partners in success. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe this video, or I guess like this video, subscribe to this channel if you enjoy this content. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching and stay awesome. Bye now.